Irish guy, and Premier League game week 8. Oh boy, lads, just watch. Sit back, eat some donuts, hit that subscribe button, and just watch. Watch what I have done this week because, lads, I've somehow morphed into a predictions king. Right, let's go. West Ham 2, Newcastle 2. Okay. Roll the clip.
I don't think either team will be at their best. It'll be a tired, incoherent performance for both West Ham and Newcastle. But yeah, I'll go for a back and forth 2-2 draw with Jared Bowen and Thomas Souček scoring, while Alexander Isak will back 2 for Newcastle. Fairly entertaining match.
Am I a wizard? I don't understand. On Friday afternoon, when I made this video, I mean, instead of drinking lumpy Aldi brand orange juice for breakfast, something which really does taste like stale sick, did I instead drink a pint of Gandalf's wee? Because this was a magical prediction. Lads, I'm gonna tell you this. No word of a lie. I bumped into Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall in a Gosforth coffee shop on Saturday morning. I just wandered in looking to steal some croissant crumbs out of the bin, alright? Yeah, they were both there with their 2 backroom staff assistants. Big, massive cars parked out the front. I congratulated them on the PSG win. Also told Eddie I was unsure of why he sold some Maximin. But I also said, watch out for Jared Bowen. Those were my last 4 words as he sat and drank his tea, waiting for this Irish weirdo to leave him alone. Honestly, he was probably about 10 seconds away from ringing security. Well, guess what, lads? Bowen did not score. He was the only player for my prediction who didn't, because Thomas Souček netted in the first half after Nick Pope decided to go for a badly timed morning stroll. Honestly, Pope is a brilliant shot stopper, but he has these moments where he just seems to swap his brain out for a half-eaten mushroom for about 10 seconds in every match. If I was his wife, I'd refuse to get in the car. He was the reason West Ham went 1-0 but to be fair, after halftime, Alexander Isak pops up with 2 goals, but I just knew this would be 2-2. I was just convinced Bowen would be the one to do it, but no, if it was him and not Mohamed Kudus who smacked in that 88th-minute equalizer, then I genuinely believe I'd have the police knocking on my door. They'd be thinking I was some sort of alien with freakish special powers. Crystal Palace 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Play the clip.
Listen, I don't expect this to be a good game at all. I reckon it'll be a very dull, ugly watch. Just a horrible, awful 0-0 draw.
Am I an elf? I mean, not one of the small toy-making ones who Santa Claus inappropriately touches at night. Honestly, I'd imagine they'd have a very Harvey Weinstein relationship, trapped away in the lonely North Pole, where no one can hear you scream. But no, I mean an elf off Lord of the Rings. Because once again, I was able to predict the correct scoreline. 0-0 between Palace and Forest. Although, to be fair, you could have probably found a blind dog to actually predict this one. How on earth was this a 5:30 kickoff on Saturday evening? The previous week, the Super Sunday clash was Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. And before that, Forest played Burnley on Monday Night Football. Why do Sky Sports think that the neutrals are so desperate to see Nottingham Forest matches? Is there suddenly a housewife demand to see Steve Cooper's face? Do they suddenly hit the pause button and tell their 3-year-old child that if they don't behave, she'll feed them to the boogeyman? Honestly, he's more terrifying than it. Anyway, yeah, an ugly 0-0. Not much to say.
Except I was right!
Fulham 3, Sheffield United 1. Oh! Play the clip!
It's going to be a nasty, uncomfortable afternoon for Fulham fans. The supporters will be so nervous. I even think the Blades will miss a penalty before someone like Willian spanks in a 90th minute winner.
Willian scores in the 90th minute. Willian scores in the 90th minute. Yes! Yes, he did! I'm sorry, but what? Okay, I said Fulham would win 1-0 instead of 3-1. This just proves that last week, I had some telepathic powers in my head. I was about 15% of that bald wheelchair guy from those X-Men films. What other person on the planet knew that Willian would score in the last minute? That man has not scored in the last minute of a match since May 2021, when he banged one in for Arsenal against West Brom. Yeah, he then went back to Brazil, where he showed the footballing ability of a chicken sneeze. So the fact that I forecasted this goal, I'm sorry. Had I been chewing magic broccoli? Well, listen, solid win for Fulham, although Paul Heckingbottom must feel like ripping off a chunk of his armpit hair in disgust. This was a winnable match, but sloppy defending lets Bobby Dick or Reed stick Fulham 1-0 up. But to be fair, the Blades come back, force an own goal from Anthony Robinson. It's 1-1 with 20 minutes left, and then, how unlucky, Tom Kearney takes a 30-yard pot-lock shot. It smacks the crossbar and rebounds in off Wes Fotheringham's head. Before, Willian rounds off the win, leaving the Blades on 1 point after 8 games. That is horrific. I'm sorry, but 90% of the time, if a Premier League manager is still waiting for his team's first win of the season just before Halloween, then he is an absolute tactical cabbage and he's chucking out the door. The only anomaly example I can think of is Rafa Benitez. But weirdly, after waiting 11 games for Newcastle's first win of the season in 2018, they lost 9 games. The only ones they didn't lose were horrible 0-0 draws to Cardiff, Crystal Palace and Southampton. They were 2-0 up at Old Trafford with 20 minutes left and still left with 0 points. That was crisis Newcastle. second season syndrome Newcastle. But to be fair, despite a horrible nightmare start, the fans didn't turn on Benitez, still sang his name, and the club finished 13th. But Heckingbottom is not Benitez. Even though they're both in the relegation zone this season, yeah, poor old Rafa is melting like a chocolate candle in La Liga. I mean, just like that Man United defeat in 2018. I mean, 2 weeks ago, he had struggling Celta Vigo 2-0 up at the Nou Camp with just 9 minutes left. And guess what? Still lost. And even yesterday, he watched you-know-who score against him for Getafe. Oh, it's pretty grim for Rafa right now. But yeah, Heckingbottom needs sacking. Everton 3, Bournemouth 0. Play the clip.
I reckon Bournemouth will play well, but surely the Everton fans are going to roar the Toffees to a win. I think it'll be a great game, back and forth, but 3-2 Everton win.
They did it. They did it. Everton did it. I said they would score 3 goals at Goodison Park, something they have not done since October of last year against Crystal Palace. Ever since then, under Sean Dyche, they've looked about as dangerous in front of goal as a constipated mouse. And yet, I forecast this win. Lads, I can finally put away the milk for good now. This is how I thought Everton would shape up this season. A comfortable mid-table team. So far away from danger, and now surely they're not going to creep back into the bottom 3, right? James Garner sticks them 1-0 up with a composed finish. Then Jack Harrison, somebody who I also tipped to be a clever quality signing. He then bangs in a sumptuous goal of the season contender from 35 yards, in off the crossbar. Incredible first goal for the club, before Abdoulaye Doucouré smashes in a third after an hour. Why, I can stop collecting milk for the season. No longer will I smell of month-old muesli every Monday morning. Well done, Everton. Here's the slight issue though. I said Bournemouth would have a great season. I said Andoni Iraola would be a brilliant coach. Could drag Bournemouth into Europe before he left. Yeah, right now, he's one of the favourites for the sack. People are already starting to say,
oh, you should have kept Gary O'Neill.
what, the underqualified PE coach who looks a little bit like a weasel? Lads, I'm not gonna lie. This was an absolutely pig rotten performance from the Cherries. But trust in Iraola, he is a good manager. Don't you dare sack him Bournemouth. He's like the future Spanish Eddie Howe. I promise you, throwing him away now will be about as clever as climbing into the back of a stranger's van in order to get sweets. I mean, sure, my cousin got his Toblerone bar. But at what cost? Brighton 2, Liverpool 2. Play that clip!
I just smell an angry Liverpool. I think they're going to come roaring back. Mo Salah will score a couple of goals. Darwin Núñez and Harvey Elliott with the others. They're going to absolutely rip Brighton apart, as if their entire defence is made of confetti. It's just going to be a painful afternoon for the Seagulls. Trust me, Liverpool are going to destroy you.
Okay, again, this one is not perfect. It's hazy, but the core details are right. I said it'd be a 4-0 Liverpool win with Mo Salah scoring twice. Now, it was a 4-goal game, yes, but it was 2-2. With Salah scoring twice. Listen, this is a pretty good match, but I expected more from Liverpool. Both teams were wounded. Brighton were angry after conceding 6 last time out. Liverpool were still furious from the Tottenham farce. But to be fair, a quality game. I mean, an absolute Liverpool defensive howler let Simon Adingra in to score the opening goal. But 2 from Salah got them back on track. They were eking towards a win before they let Lewis Dunk steal in to score a late equaliser. Let's be real though. The Reds were lucky not to lose because João Pedro was given time, freedom and space to just stick his laces through the ball and bang in a late winner. But instead chooses to use his instep. I know. Who am I to give a professional striker advice on how to kick a football? I might as well go down to the local opera and criticize the posture of the bloke playing piano. I mean, who am I? Just some Irish gargoyle who stinks of Rice Krispies and is most likely gonna have babies with a scarf. Well, come on, Pedro. You should have won this match for Brighton. Luton 0, Tottenham 1.
I'm gonna say this. If Luton record more than 35% possession of the ball, if they get more than that number, then I will chuck a bucket of frozen toilet water on my head. But it ain't gonna happen. It won't. They won't get a sniff of the ball. Carlton Morris will touch the football less times than I've hugged my mum.
Get it. Get it. Get it! I'll be honest. I don't know how I've escaped my toilet water punishment. Because when Yves Bissouma was sent off in first half stoppage time, I thought, oh no. How did Luton not totally dominate possession? When in the second half, they had one more man on the pitch. Okay, maybe not dominate possession because Ange Ball is absolutely clicking right now, but come on. To only register 33% possession of the ball. Oh, wow. For Tottenham to still have 67% possession with 10 men. That's more impressive than the win, with Mickey van den Ven finishing off some James Maddison magic on the touchline. But if I'm a Luton fan, then I'm angry. 10 men against 11, and you still lose? 0 points? This was on a plate. And you bottle it. Elijah Adebayo. Although, to give him his full name, Elijah Anulawapo Oluwafanmi Oluwatomi Oluwainia Ayamik Julahan Adebayo. Oh wow, when he flies Ryanair, passport checks must take half an hour, but he is a 25-year-old striker who's represented Slough Town, Bognor Regis Town, Cheltenham Town, Swindon Town, Stevenage, Walsall. He joined Fulham in 2007. He has been around London for years, and he's given a chance to tap in a Premier League goal against a London giant at 0-0 to give Luton their first Premier League win, and he absolutely fluffs it. The poor fellow won't sleep for a week. Man United 2, Brentford 1. Play the clip.
Rasmus Højlund is the only player currently playing out of his skin, and I'm sure he'll score again, but Christian Norgard will head in from a corner kick after half-time, and the stadium will freeze. Fans, players, and management will be terrified. And yeah, in a match where the home team are too focused on not losing again, oh, they will. Just like in Galatasaray, Brian Mbemo will score a counter-attack goal after about 82 minutes, and Manchester United will officially be an absolute crisis.
So let me get this straight. After last weekend, me predicting that Ollie Watkins would score a hat-trick, this weekend, I have successfully predicted that West Ham and Newcastle will play out a 2-2 draw, that Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest be a boring 0-0 draw, that Everton would score 3 goals at Goodison Park for the first time in a year, that Thomas Suchek would score a goal, that both Salah and Isak would score braces, that Willian would bag in the 90th minute, that Luton Town would register less than 35% possession. And here's the really spooky thing. I said Christian Norgard would score a header from a corner kick at Old Trafford. I also said Brian Mbemo would score the winner in 82 minutes. Both of these two things very nearly combined, because Norgard nearly did score a header from a corner kick in the 82nd minute. I'm telling you, I am being touched by an oracle, and not in a Philip Schofield way. No, this is like me seeing the correct answers through a fog. I'm getting the basics right. Put some respect on these predictions. But here, how lucky were Man United? Oh, how typical in that the week Netflix brings out a David Beckham documentary with a whole chapter dedicated to that ridiculous Champions League final win over Bayern Munich. That Man United would now just go and beat Brentford in the same manner. Lads, this was not convincing. When Matthias Jensen stuck the beast 1-0 up, making Andre Onana once again look like he's got the reflexes of banana pie, this looked like it was going to be a 7th Manchester United defeat this season. And if that had happened, I don't care. Erik ten Hag should be under some serious pressure to save his job. I was watching this match, and when he replaced Sofian Amrabat with Scott McTominay in 87 minutes, I thought,
Why? What is the point? Does he want to lose?
yeah, McTominay then morphs into prime Fellaini and scrambles in a 93rd minute equalizer and then a 97th minute winner. I could guarantee you, such as the hideous, sloppy nature of this match, I'm sure about a fifth of the ground had left. There were probably jury fed up Man United fans who were already halfway down the street to the pub moaning about losing a third Premier League game on the bounce. Listen, this was a pretty ugly performance yet again. Honestly, a last minute win like this for an under pressure boss, it's good for morale on paper, right? Now, it just reminds me of when Man United beat Newcastle 3-2 in that match I referenced earlier when they came from 2-0 down. That was the game that saved Jose Mourinho's job. Now, Mourinho was still sacked within 2 months, and I don't think this result is really going to fix anything. All it does is just paper over cracks. Burnley 1, Chelsea 4. Play the clip.
Listen, Chelsea usually have fun at Turf Moor. In their last 4 visits to this ground, they scored 15 goals. They scored 4 goals in 3 of those visits. And this is only dating back to October 2018. They've absolutely eaten them like a wet hamburger.
Chelsea scored 4. Why didn't I say that? I'd already mapped out all the clues. I spoke in my predictions video how Chelsea always score 4 at Turf Moor, and yet I choose to ignore all that and just predict a dour 1-0 win. It's like playing Cluedo, and you've got all the clues mapped out towards it being Professor Green. But I instead just choose to accuse my uncle of caressing my thighs in bed. But listen, fair play Pochettino. After having gone 1-0 down to a Wilson Odobert finish after 15 minutes, Chelsea could have crumbled. But no, they roared back. An own goal from that kill was forced, and then Cole Palmer, Raheem Sterling, and Nicholas Jackson all score. But lads, I did a YouTube short on how Palmer had ruined his career going to Chelsea, right? Well, how is he on penalty duty already? Chelsea really not have anyone else who'll take a penalty? Are their players really all that raw? Raheem Sterling was on that pitch, a 28-year-old leader who's been playing Premier League football since Palmer was in nappies and flinging his poo at the walls. People do that when they're 10, right? What with Sterling having not taken a penalty for England in the Euro 2020 final either, instead letting actual teenage kids go first? Can I just ask, why is this guy so scared of penalties? Is he not hungry for goals? Why has he developed such a phobia for them? He scored 4 penalties in his career. He's also missed 4, but he's only ever missed 1 that ever affected the result in a 3-2 defeat to Wolves back in December 2019. Has that miss really gotten into his head? Palmer probably used to have posters of Sterling on his wall, and you're letting this little boy take them before you? Even Conor Gallagher. If you want to be the next Frank Lampard, then you better start practicing your penalties, as this would have been a bit like Lampard back in 2006. What? Just letting Sean Wright Phillips take the pens instead? No, just weird. Honestly, Sterling and Gallagher, stop being cowards and take the next penalty. Arsenal 1, Man City 0. How had Arsenal not beaten Manchester City in a Premier League match in nearly 8 years? December 2015 was the last time, but how? Imagine going back to May 2004, when Arsenal gone through an entire Premier League campaign unbeaten, while Man City finished 16th, going on a mid-season run of 0 wins in 14 games, and then another sequence of 0 wins in 7 during the spring. Imagine telling anyone that one day Arsenal would fail to win a Premier League game against them in 15 attempts, that the aggregate score would have been Arsenal 10, Man City 38. So this was long overdue, and to be fair, it was a pretty horrible, boring match where Mateo Kovacic should have been sent off in the first half. David Raya had a nervous moment where he nearly kicked the ball in off Julian Alvarez, although make no mistake about it, I guarantee at least 4 40% of Aaron Ramsdale's soul was begging that went in. But yeah, pretty tepid 0-0 affair. Erling Haaland was anonymous before Gabriel Martinelli's deflected late goal sealed a monster huge win. But I hate to put a dampener on things, but it's not gonna mean anything. We've seen so many times Man City will lose a Premier League match that looks definitive. It looks curtains for their title hopes, but it never usually is. Under Guardiola, I remember a 2-1 defeat to Newcastle in January 2019, which put them 4 points behind an unstoppable Liverpool, who had a game at hand. It was a huge blow to City. They still won the league. In September 2020, they lost their first game at the Etihad 5-2 to Leicester City. Didn't matter. Still won the league. In October 2021, they lose 2-0 at home to Crystal Palace. They sit third, trailing Chelsea by 5 points. Still win the league. Last season, they lose 1-0 to Tottenham in February. They're 5 points behind Arsenal, having played a game more. They still win the league. Sorry, Arsenal, but I don't think this result means anything. Wolves won, Aston Villa won. Pretty gritty, scrappy 1-1 draw. Aston Villa will be annoyed they haven't won this match. Pau Torre scoring to immediately cancel out Hwang Hee-chan's opener at the start of the second half. Honestly, if Villa want to crack into the Champions League spots, they need to be beating relegation-threatened teams like this. But not a complete disaster, but all a bit meh. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of these incredible predictions? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.